I know it's weird to say, but I guess if you want something done, you better do it yourself. This is Dr. Annette Feravich, and I'm still here. Whoop, 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 whoop. What are we talking about today? It's very interesting what I decided to talk about today. In the classroom, Dr. Annette Feravich, we are here in the classroom. We are here in the critical thinking classroom. Let me look, see, to see. There we go. Everything's rolling, and I said I'd be back here in 10:45. Ran long with the other one, but started, not quite on time. It was close though. I also need to get something to drink here. Who doesn't? What is it? It's noon somewhere. Ye of little faith. That's what I have to say. Ye of little faith. Okay. So the interesting thing that we're going to be talking about today is I'm going to wrap it around because I always like to, even though if we're continuing emotional intelligence, which we are continuing emotional intelligence. But even though we are continuing that, I always like to put a different theme on it, right? A different title, a theme, so that we know that was yesterday and today it's something slightly different, even though we're still are talking emotional intelligence. And so the title that I put there for you is There's Always Someone, right? There's always someone. So if we were to summarize what we mean by emotional intelligence, I would summarize it as regulation, knowing how to regulate your emotions correctly. But by breaking it down into these different categories, or what Daniel Goleman calls branches, by breaking these things down into the different branches, what you end up seeing is the critical components to what regulation really amounts to. And actually, regulation is one of those components as well. So it's not strictly what I'm saying is emotional intelligence is not, oh, come closer if you would, please. Thank you. Uh, cameraman number only, Annette, is that emotional intelligence really does revolve around your ability to regulate. But in order for us to understand what that really means and the whole scheme of things, we need to look at all the individual branches or components. If I didn't get that out, or if I missed something, you know me, I'll probably get it back in a minute. Or it wasn't important. So there's always someone. There's always someone. And I'm going to start with that, but I'm going to get my coffee and maybe a water. All right. So I'll just be, just a second is all I'm going to be. Not 1 second, like a long second, like 30 of those seconds, maybe. Okay, I'm back. So let's talk about what I wanted to do is we'll get into those branches, right? You know what? And darn it, I forgot to add those branches on too. I forgot to, what do they call it? Graft those branches on. Oh, little spiritual connection there. Little spiritual connection. Forgot to graft my branches on. Darn it. Onto the PowerPoint. I'll get them though in just a minute. So we're talking about the branches, and oh good, I have a little bit of my stevia right down there. Instead of having to get up and get it again. Is that I just, you know how I will usually finish our session with the topic, right? A lot of times I'll finish the session with the topic. Today, it's going to be emotional intelligence for a couple days more. And but today I want to start with that topic. You're kidding me. Where'd that go? Oh, I'm so sad. I think I'm okay. I have my whatever. Sweetener is what I'm looking for. It's not in my purse, and it was in my purse. And now it's not. So anywhere I go, I don't have my sweetener. So there's always someone. And I've thought about this for a lot of years. And watch our philosophical class today too. It's going to be kind of interesting on nuances. And this is a little bit on nuances as well. I just came into my head. But I've always thought, it can't escape me that I've worked hard to have a few talents. It doesn't escape me that I've worked hard and I have a few talents. So much so that I think that other people actually covet my talents and want to steal my identity. I'm quite certain of that. Absolutely certain that people are stealing my identity as we speak. Working on it anyway. And there's always going to be somebody who, not that's after my talents, that's not what it is. There's always going to be somebody who is what? Smarter than me. Let's do that. Let's start right there. There's always going to be somebody who's smarter than me. So if you wanted to outsmart me, you could find somebody to outsmart me. For sure you could. For sure. You haven't yet though. You keep thinking you have. Yeah. And all those videos that are so distasteful, that is your legacy. That's your legacy. All of those distasteful videos that you put out there. Are you proud of those? Right? There's somebody who can outsmart me, for sure. For sure. There's people who are, well, let's just start with younger. Clearly younger, right, than me. There are people who, and younger than you, and then therefore prettier. In many of the ways that people are looking for women. Certainly, I've had 2 children. So having 2 children has put my body into a different, stratosphere. Different category. A different category. I put my body in a different category. It just simply just won't do the things it did before I had babies. And it's not even do. I mean, as far as looks go. Like it won't come in at the waist like it used to. It just doesn't. So there's always going to be somebody who's thinner than me, for sure. There's always going to be somebody who's in better shape than me, even if they're, weigh the same or whatever. Always going to be somebody who's in better shape than me, altogether, like taller, right? Have better hair than me. Not the same hair, though. You think you can get away with with stealing my identity? And if you get on here and you have your hair, trust me, even a part of having this hair is going to take 6 months of training. It is. Oh, for sure. You think somebody else is going to do it? Oh, somebody else knows how to do your hair like Annette's? No, they don't. You watch. It's going to look like Helmet Head. It'll be all hairsprayed and everything. And they're going to end up doing the same things to you in their own, Milford Entertainment Group kind of way, Megan. And all the Megans, are you part of it? Megan, my last TA. Come on. Are you part of Milford Entertainment Group? Karen Miller, are you part of Milford Entertainment Group? Keith Williams, are you part of Milford Entertainment Group? Are you part of Discovery Institute? Are you part of maligning individuals into selling their soul in order to give it to you? That sure sounds like Armageddon stuff to me. So, there are people who will always be, fill in the blank, more athletic than you, right? I mean, we have the best, right? We do have the best. There are the best. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, I don't know. What do I know about basketball? Michael Jordan was likely the best. I think he probably was the best, right? Jimi Hendrix was likely the best at what he did, right? Barbara Streisand and her voice. You could, or who would it be now? It would be, what's her face that wore the meat? Yeah, that's what you're known for. Wearing the meat. All I can think of is Daisy. Wearing the meat. Jeez. In one of my favorite movies, right? The remake of Barbara Streisand's movie. So somebody will have a better voice. So whatever. So you have Michael Jordan or Barbara Streisand, right? You can take a look at. She did the movie Funny Face because she has a funny face, right? She has a funny Jewish woman face. She did that movie. So you might even be the best, right? You might even be the best. She likely could be the best singer in the world ever. Adele, right up there, right? And Adele is very beautiful as well. So you can take a look at Adele. And you could say, she's got everything. Now that she's lost her weight and stuff, she looks fantastic. Her voice is on the mark. She has beautiful hair. Adele has everything, right? Ask Adele if she has everything. Ask Adele if she's missing something in her life. There's always someone. There's always someone. And so the best that you can do is, in our critical thinking, the best that you can do is develop you to be the best you. And you have to understand the rewards that come with it. You have to understand and wrap your brain around the rewards that come with it. And that is your heart's desire. My heart's desire is to be you, Dr. Feravich. I know, sweetie, I know. But you're not. You're not. And you never will be. Ever. Ever. No matter how much Milford Entertainment Group puts into you, you're not ever going to be me. And the person laying next to you will never be faked out by you being me. And your children and my children will never be faked out and think somehow that you are me. In time they will. In time they will. No, they won't. No, they won't. Because nobody can be you. Nobody can be you and nobody can be me. There's always someone. There's always someone who's faster or smarter or better looking or a better teacher or a better student or a better nun or a better priest or a better piano player, or a better reader, or a better coffee maker, or a better nutritionist, or a better nurturer, or a better mother, or a better father, or a better aunt or uncle, right? A better daughter, a better son, a better liar, a better truth sayer, a better storyteller, a better artist, right? A better printer, a better writer. There's always going to be someone better, but there's never going to be another you. So again, Michael Jordan, which I think is arguably the best, but you can talk, you can say, well, Brett Favre, for, you know, in all of his talents, and look at where he is now. Who dat? Right? Right? Put all your effort into being somebody else, and then in the end, what? Who's Brett Favre? Coming up on Aaron Rodgers, isn't it? Made a few decisions that, you know, woke decisions, whatever that you want to call those decisions, for people who want to, you know, argue about somebody else's life. Develop yourself. That's the only way you're going to be successful. It's the only way that you're going to have confidence in who you are, is by figuring out who you are, by going inside. You know, I'm thinking about something to say, and I'm pausing here for a minute. You know, there are people who take their lives because of awful things that happen to them, right? I know that. How am I going to say this? I know why you're here. I know why you want to be somebody else. I know why you want to steal my identity. I know why you want to do those things. I know why. I know why your brother lost his life. I know why. I know what happened. It is this inability to look really at these truths that are really inside of our hearts, right? It is this real inability to look at the truths inside of ourselves. And that's the reason why we punch at other people. That's the reason why we put the magnifying glass on other people, because we have such an inability to look inside of ourselves. Why? Why? Because it hurts. Because it's uncomfortable. Go to the early bird classroom. What are those feelings? Why can't we look inside of ourselves? And I'm literally going to pick up the early bird classroom book from Joy Wilt, if I could find it in a short period of time. Honest to gosh, seriously, how could I have that book, and how could that book have disappeared? How could I have just read from that book and have it not be here? Oh, there it is. It can't be not here, is the answer to that question. It has to be here. So, Joy Wilt, handling our ups and downs. From our early bird classroom, we're getting into that, right? So, why do you want to be somebody else? Why can't you look into yourself and develop yourself? Why? Because when you look into yourself, what? Why can't you look into yourself and live your own life? Why can't you do that? All those people from my past, I don't understand. From elementary school, why can't you live your own life, Martins? Why can't you? Why can't you live your own life? Why can't you look inside yourself, to improve yourself because you know there's nobody else uniquely you. So get it to some shining example of something, for Pete's sake. My gosh, dust off your freaking cobwebs and get up to date. It's not 1980. Those aren't when the America was great. Seriously? With Debbie Gibson? Honestly, that was when America was great? I don't understand why you're all wearing 1980s dresses. What are you trying to prove? I don't even know. Why don't you look inside yourself? Why don't you look inside yourself? This is emotional intelligence, folks. Wake up. I'm not just taking this book because I have ADHD, because I don't, by the way. I don't. But my audience likely does. Most of my audience, a lot of our audience does. Doesn't even matter. I happen to think it's an asset when I go on these little runs. As long as you can come back. Why don't you look inside yourself? Because what you see is anger. What you see and feel is guilt. Because what you see and feel is jealousy. Because what you see and feel is grief. Yeah, examine your grief. Examine your sadness. Why are you more comfortable with anger than you are with grief and sadness? Why can you hold on to the anger but not the grief and sadness? Well, 'cause it's sad. And anger gives you power. That's why. But knowing that you're angry and knowing that what I just told you gives you, you're angry because it gives you power. Knowing that does not mean you've examined the anger. Why it's there, when it's there, right? Notice when it's there, and you'll be able to know why it's there. Notice when it's there, exactly what they say right in this book. Exactly what they say. Not in that way. Know when it's there. Notice when it's there, and you will know why it's there. And they probably say almost identical to what I just said. Not my words, is what I'm saying. Joy Wilt's. Because when you look inside yourself, you feel very lonely. Because when you look inside yourself, you know that people have rejected you. Sorry about that. Because when you look inside yourself, you feel embarrassed. You remember those things that make you feel embarrassed. You remember those things that make you feel humiliated. And so if you can humiliate somebody else, it certainly takes the spotlight off of your feelings of humiliation. Why do people do these things? Because they don't want to. I was going to say something about courage. It takes courage. It takes courage to do those things, to spend the time looking at those things inside yourself. You know, it's not unique to you. And if somebody has your ass over a grinder, like those people who have the bad name, Scientologists, so now they call them Discovery Institute. Is that what you do? Is Scientology now Discovery Institute? And I was that close to getting my nose in there? It's a shame. It's a shame what you've done. It's a shame what you have done. For what? Oh my gosh. I just can't even fathom. I can't wrap my brain around that whole thing. What you're doing. And what you're doing to the brains and minds of young people. In the name of God. In the name of God. You're doing that. But we've known that for a long time. Frustration. When you look inside yourself, do you feel frustration? This is all about emotional intelligence. It isn't easy, but it's not long either. Trust me. Trust me when I say that. It's not an easy road, but it's not a long road either. Anxiety. Do you feel anxious when you start to look inside yourself? So you got to put the spotlight, the magnifying glass on somebody else because you don't feel comfortable. You feel anxious when you look inside yourself. That's guilt. That's okay. We have it. You might feel guilty about things that were out of your control or, well, mostly that. Mostly that. Because no matter what, you might feel guilty about people who lost their lives in a storm. Mostly we feel guilty about things that we couldn't do anything about. Think about it. Look inside yourself. If you know when you're feeling guilty, you'll know why. If you know when you're feeling anxious, you'll know why. If you know when you're feeling afraid, you'll know why. Okay? And then the last one, why don't we look inside of ourselves? Fear, not the last two, three now. Because you feel afraid. If you look inside yourself, you feel disappointed in yourself when you look inside yourself. And you feel defeated as if somebody else is better and somebody else won. You know, I get it's just perspective. A lot of it is perspective. I was going to say, I get that I have a lot of wonderful things. I live on this wonderful piece of property, but my life isn't, everything's not so wonderful. It is perspective, right? People are trying to take away the property. People are trying to take away my identity. People are trying to be Dr. Annette Feravich, and people are also trying to mischaracterize me in order to do that in ways that are really horrendous. So I have a lot of wonderful gifts, but we all have a lot of pressure and weight on our shoulders. Just like we were reading in our Hurry Freedom book, where the black women were carrying cast iron stoves on their head and then filled with their belongings as well. That's a hard journey, and many lost their lives on the way. That was a hard journey to freedom, right? To feel like you can say and do what you were made to say and do. It's democracy. And anybody who is trying to make you say and do something in this country that you don't agree with, we have a voice. But we do not oppress those people. We do not sit on their heads. Because what we do is we create inside of ourselves a whole bunch of uncomfortable feelings that we can't get out of until we learn some emotional intelligence. Oh, look at the way I wrap that around. Look at the way I wrap that around. That sounds like the Catholic Church that used to just sing the same note, right? That was Psalms. Anyway, so let's get to I know what. Give me a sec. I thought I had, I've got to get, it's probably here. don't know if it's there or not. Sorry, let me get this. I have to get our emotional intelligence slides up there. No, I knew I didn't. I knew those weren't it. But I sure wouldn't mind having you look at something else besides my face studying this. So, give me a second here. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to put this on. Let me I'm going to play a song. I am going to play a song for you. I don't know if we've played a song for you guys in a long time. So I'm going to play a song for you. Something I've really liked. This song is, I played it the other day and I'm going to play it again. I just love this song, and oh, are you going to do my playlist? No, you're not. I'm going to get to my channel. I know. See, whenever I do this song, then all of a sudden it just ends up being like forever. So this is my love for being a teacher. And if you think that anybody could be a teacher, you are a fool. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. I know. You'd think after all this time of being on YouTube, I'd be able to figure this out. Actually, I'm not going to play that song. I'm going to see if I can get away with playing this one. This is a new song I'm recording. I might have to delete it out of the middle. Let me see what you're about. Jason Aldean. I love this song.
She said, baby, do you ever miss being alone? I said, hell no, I don't. She said, do you really think I'm where you belong? I said, you know, and I know you're perfect for me. Everything I'll ever need, I ain't playing. What I'm saying, when I got what I got, I don't miss what I had. The old me before you belongs to the past, in the back of your
So that is Jason Aldean, Alden, and I just love that song. And why would I pick that one and play for a critical thinking classroom for the break? Well, because I love it. Hello, I just told you that. But not for just that reason, of course. It is because I was going to do, I'd still be doing this as a teacher, and I played that for you the other day because I would still be doing this no matter what, obviously. Even if Oakland University isn't paying me, I'd still be doing this one way or another, and nobody can take my place. But I didn't play that song. This was a new one that I really, really liked a lot, and so I decided to play this one. But I do think what it does is I hope that you listen to it again, and what it really shows you is a real appreciation for what you have. You know, we are searching. If you come to me in this classroom, you're going to learn something for sure. You're going to learn something. And you're going to learn something about finding what you're searching for. You are not trying to take over my life because your life is anywhere close to being full. And you that's what you have to examine. There are people who are taking over other people's identities because they're so satisfied with their lives. Look at how ingenious they are doing that. I must be so satisfied with my life. Look at my ingenuity in oppressing other people. I'm so smart. I could sit here on a bar stool, getting fat, playing video games, and think I outsmarted you. You've outsmarted yourself. You've gotten yourself to think in such a way that you have created a big fat dummy. That's what you've done, right? And this is, specific. People have all kinds of eating disorders and problems with that, right? This is very specific. Very specific to people sitting on a bar stool being a big fat dummy. Whether or not you're drinking alcohol. Chumley. Okay, so I do have our emotional intelligence slides here. And that's what I needed to put up. So what we're talking about is we're talking about the branches of emotional intelligence. So that's what I want to get to now. So we talked about what is mindfulness, and we talked about, I think that we started with this, we stopped with that single exposure, right? So on the mindlessness comes about through repetition or through a single exposure. And the example that I gave you was the weather in Michigan, where somebody said that the weather in Michigan is the rainiest. And as we can see, if you look outside here, today it actually is true. We've been rainy and my grass is so green because of it. I just love Michigan weather. And if you think that your crooked ways are going to get me out of Michigan, you've got another thing coming. My straight ways are going to get your crooked ways out of Michigan. You're getting our water? I don't think so. I don't think so. Try as you might, I might just own Michigan. I don't know. I smell money. That's what I'm saying. Even if it's not coming from Fifth Third. What kind of stuff you got going on there, Fifth Third? Because it's financially illegal and tied to Milford Entertainment Group. And that Megan Group is going down. They barely have any money to keep these houses filled. They don't have any money to keep these houses filled with people. You have to know. That company is in financial straits. That's what it is. It's in financial straits. They can't even keep people in the houses over here doing their acting job. They can't keep people at Red Dog doing their acting job. They can't afford the bands in town any longer. They're all hightailing it out of here. Guess who's still standing? I know. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. You won't get or understand all of what I'm saying, but you're going to get the part of what I'm saying that you need to understand and you need to get. And then, as I always say, go down that and do the research in the areas that interest you most. That is how you make the most of your talents. I don't understand, Terry, how you could be an actress, come over here and be an actress, and then play that part that you're playing. I saw your mom. Aren't you worried about your mother? Aren't you worried about her? I know why. I know why. I know why. I know who you are, Terry. I saw you on Golden Pond. It's so funny all these years how you could recognize a person in their body and their face. I did that with Butch. Did you know that, Karen? I did. I know. So some of these things you'll understand. But what I'm doing in front of you is putting some material together is what I'm doing. Putting thoughts and ideas, and this is in front of your face the what it looks like to exhibit emotional intelligence. Let's get going on this, shall we? There's something to be learned here. So, the weather in Michigan, look at it from Thursday. It can be a single exposure. Why? Why can we be convinced by a single exposure, by somebody telling us one single thing? Why is it that that can lead us to thinking in mindless ways? A single exposure. Why? Because we don't check it out. And why would we? Why would am I a meteorologist? I think I might have said this on Thursday. I am not. I'm not a meteorologist. So I would not check out the facts that go along with Michigan, Rhode Island, weather. The only reason why I checked it out eventually was because of this topic on mindlessness and a single event. And when I got to that single event, it began making me think about the single events that I followed and learned and was mindless about. We are all mindless. What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to, again, do a deep dive into everything? No, of course not. We're not made to do a deep dive into everything. And sometimes we can, if we can trust the people around us, which is, harder and harder to come by. We can't even get scientists or chiropractors to be trusted any longer, right? So it is hard to not have to do your own research when you get a single fact. Otherwise, you sound like an idiot because there's a bunch of idiots around here espousing whatever they want to espouse for their own financial gain. Follow the dollar. If there's somebody, in other words, if there's somebody saying something that you feel is untrue, right? Follow the dollar, right? Follow the dollar. If you think that somehow by not following the dollar that you're going to get paid, you don't have a very good nose. You think I can't smell the money? Because you put a tequila bottle up to my nose? I can smell the money. I can feel the love. All right, so that's how you take care of the stray thoughts. You bring up what you should bring up. You put back what you don't need, right? People become bored or complacent. So I don't want to think about whether or not, my party is making any sense, if what they're saying is rational. I don't want to think about if my party is being complacent. What I mean by that, I'm actually talking politics right now. I don't want to think about whether or not my party is being dishonest or whether or not those sexual assault claims are really true or not, or how many people have made them. I don't want to think about those kinds of things. What I want to do instead is I just want to have somebody tell me what I'm supposed to think. Bored and complacent. Those are video people. Video games, why is it that you can't get to a place of self-actualization? Why can't you get to a place of self-actualization when you're a video gamer? Because you're boring and complacent. That's the reason why. You're boring and complacent. And it also seems to me that you've gotten yourself into a financial bind by gambling. So your boredom and complacency has gotten you in financial binds, right? And now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do, Chumley? I don't even know. And then we said, and you know what, we did talk about this, because we said we were afraid to be incompetent. I appreciate the details. Thank you. So do I. I like the details of the studies. So this is the Langer experiment at the top there, and I have talked about this Langer experiment. I don't think I've talked about it with this class, but it doesn't even matter because we're just going to go into it. So what these are is there are a couple studies, and this is Ellen Langer. Ellen Langer did some wonderful behavioral studies in very important areas. And this study that we're mentioning here about hotel maids, what this is really looking at is mind over matter is what it is. So a wonderful study in the topic of mind over matter. So what they did was they told hotel maids that the work that they did met the Surgeon General's requirements for a healthy lifestyle. All right? And then the placebo effect comes in, the mind over matter. It's not that they did something different to improve their health simply improved. How did that happen? Well, it is mind over matter, which means there is a physical component to it. Matter is a physical component. Mind over the physical body. But the mind is getting the body to perform more than it did prior. So the hotel maids are taking those sheets and they're, right? Or they are really vacuuming with vigor, or dusting and making sure that their arms are getting involved, right? Wax on, wax off while they're dusting, right? So that's what they're doing. They may have just picked up the pace a little bit. They have a little, whatever you call it, in their step. What do you call that? In their step. A little spark, but that's not it. A little dance, that's not it. In their step. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Snaggletooth. You know what Snaggletooth is saying today? That she hasn't been able to get her tooth fixed, doggone it. The heck? Seriously? I have an appointment over there. I don't think I'm going to keep it. It looks like one of those people who really aren't educated in the field and are just pretending that they're educated in the field. I think that there's a lot of people here in Michigan that are trying to develop their own system of education to say that they are professionals in dentistry. Seriously, Matthew? Is that what you're saying? Oh, dear Jesus, God Almighty. Holy mackerel. This is really bad news. Scary times. The second, so you can see what happened, and end up having a decrease in weight, decrease in blood pressure, and decrease in body fat just because of the suggestion of that. The next study that we have there is a cutting in line study. And this is a study about that people will basically accept. All that is saying is if you want to look it up, you can look it up. But that study is basically saying that people will accept any excuse. Give them an excuse and they'll accept it. Mindlessness. It doesn't matter. I need to get these copies made. Oh, okay. Then you can cut in line. But if you just cut in line, I'll be mad. But if I give you a lame excuse like, I need to get these copies made, you'll be like, okay, here you go. Oh, so do I. Hello. Mindlessness. Somebody tells you that the Dems are eating babies and then nobody is taking care of that. Nobody, there's no policing of this, nothing. What? Your executive has control over the army. Your emperor has control over the army, supposedly. And yet we don't have any convictions on this eating baby stuff? Seriously? Is that what you're trying to get me for? Seriously? Because if there are any children in whatever way, you know that you're getting information that is just built on lies. You know you are. You know you are. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason that you believe lies. This is what mindlessness is. There's a reason that you choose to believe lies, and it fills up your soul. It helps you stop seeking for other answers like truth, right? Why would we believe a series of lies? Because it's much more convenient for us. We have a reason. There's a reward, we believe, and not looking at the truth. Right, police officers? Right, local sheriff's department? Right, local state police officers? You're not really a police officer. I know you're not SWATish. I know you're not. I know you're not. Show me the training you've had other than just walking in there and saying, I'm a police officer. Show me. Show me. You said, oh, 3 or 4 months of training for police officers? That's what they told me at Milford Police Officer. So you become complacent saying that that's okay. No, it's not. A teacher needs 4 years. A journalist needs 4 years. Can you think of a harder job than a police officer who needs 3 months of training, of good, hard training? Screw you. Screw you and the lies and the mindlessness that you tell yourself that that's okay for your personal agenda. You fascist, racist, money-grubbing, fascist, racist. I will not turn over this country to you, and I will not turn over that state. Why don't I just get out of here? Because I believe in democracy. That's the reason why. Why do I keep this up? Because I believe in mindfulness. That's what I believe in. And I know 777 is the gal you got to bet on. This is Dr. Annette Feravich as we go through emotional intelligence at the pace of a slog. Going through it slowly, but getting every juicy piece of information out there for you. And then, like I said, you can be mindful in your own area. You can do your own research. You can do your own deep dive in the area. So there's a couple studies for you. Let's see the next slide. I want to just take a look at the next slide. Where are we at? Oh, outcomes. So outcomes of mindfulness, which are also health outcomes. Okay, this is Dr. Annette Feravich. I am going to... Oh, I'm going to stay on. I'm supposed to be here. Well, no, you know why I'm not staying on? I'm going to tell you why I'm not staying on. Because it's my lunchtime, and I want to get here for our spiritual channel or our spiritual classroom on time, and I won't be able to do that if I miss my lunchtime. So this is Dr. Annette Feravich. I'm the teacher. Thanks for joining me here in the classroom. This is the critical thinking classroom. I hope I gave you something to think about. I will see you tomorrow at the same time, which is,